What's going on, boys and girls? It's Tom.
And it's Jamie. Welcome to the Chronicles of Podcast.
The Chronicles of 2003, 2023.
I'm doing the right things, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. How are you doing now? Are you okay?
Yeah, doing great. I mean, like, we played earlier, and I expected to play to a lot of people, but I didn't necessarily expect to have, like, a dope set. Like, it's dope to play to a lot of people, like, on principle.
Yeah.
But to have, like, a crazy reaction so early in the day, like, did not foresee that at all. So, still kind of, like, riding high on that.
That's amazing. When did you get here?
Moments before, like, not like down to the wire. Fleshwater, we've been on tour with, played at 1:30, and we pulled up at like 12:45. So it was like really down to the, like, we were stressed on the way here. It was like, woke up. I was on time. Some of my band woke up late. We were carrying Fleshwater in the back line. I was like, it's the nightmare, and it all worked out, you know.
Oh no, yeah.
I thought we were gonna like screw over our friends, and then they were gonna get in flame. Like, I was like, oh, I had like the whole ride here, but everything obviously worked out.
Wonderful. No, I was going to say, because obviously you played today, I don't know if you'd have much time to check anybody out while you were here.
So far, like, caught the Fleshwater set, caught one step closer right before this. Good friends of ours. Our guitar player, Harold, got to see Owen, which I know he loves, and, like, that's, like, bucket list for him. But otherwise, haven't got, like, I wanted to see Rival Schools yesterday. I know Sorry Gun played yesterday, I believe. Like, I think they're on tour together. Because we weren't here the whole weekend, I just missed some stuff I was really hoping to see.
Yeah.
Still got American football night. So.
No, decent. Decent.
It must be a nightmare at festival, I suppose, when you can only you can only attend the day you're playing. You look at the days before, you're like, oh, what did I see that?
Yeah. That is case in point. Your Rival Schools on this one. That was a legitimate. I like out loud, like, oh God. Be within proximity of Rival Schools and not see it was a heartbreaker.
Oh, bless you, dude. Well, in regards to your set though, for like festivals and shows, do you change it up depending on what you're playing, like with a festival or a gig, or is it just bring the noise no matter what?
I think to a degree we definitely do, because like there's also like a different, now like as the band's grown, there's like a different array of like festivals that we went. Like back in the States, like we have proceeded to and continue to play like a lot of like hardcore festivals where like you approach that like a certain way, like both set list, vibe, like some of like the perhaps more like gimmicky stage antics, this or that, like the clap your hands, wave your phone around, like that stuff, like in certain settings is just like no one wants that, you know. Yeah. But in other settings they very much do. So I try and play the room accordingly. Like a room like this is like a middle ground where it was like a high energy set at a more like rock indie emo festival. So like it was higher energy than I saw in terms of like crowd participation, so I leaned into that. But like this is the type of setting where I'd be more inclined for like the clap your hands, wave your hand, like all of me type stuff. So you kind of just have to adjust to like where you're at. Like our band kind of sits in between worlds. So like it's been like actually really like fun challenge to kind of adjust to that, like knowing that, like play to different rooms. Like even the support tours we do, like, you know, we tour but knocked loose, we toured with Bayside and everything in between. It's like I know how to play to a metal crowd with our band. I know how to play to like the older emo crowd with the band. Like it's been a real interesting learning experience over the last 2 years to like to adjust on the fly and kind of figure out different things.
It's something that fascinating when we talk to musicians, like the amount of things you realise you've got to learn. It isn't just getting on stage and playing your instrument, especially for like frontmen. They're like, you got to learn how to talk to a crowd, to interact, I mean, or not to sing it,
and just you gotta learn how to. I mean, not that I wouldn't and don't in the first place, but how to like believe in your craft so much that you can address a room of people who might not give a shit, you know, and hopefully win them over. Like that, and I think we've had some like pretty good success in that. I think a lot of our fan base has come from the people who just on a whim were like, all right, whatever, I'll go see Bayside because I love Bayside and I'll show up early, and if I catch an opener, I catch them. That's where we strike. That's where we're like, yo, I got you because you're here. I'm gonna get you. But even that had growing pains of like sounding good in those rooms, addressing people, and like we said, like the participation component, like what speaks to one crowd might not speak to another. You know, like the Bayside crowd is a lot older. Like if I tried and failed at getting a room of Bayside fans to like, you know, have a mosh pit or whatever, like, you know, it's like we're in those settings, you're the fish out of water, so you got to convince them in other ways. But like, for instance, on that Stick to Your Guns tour that we did in the U.S., we had already a lot of like our fan base been thrown out to that, so we had good sets. And to all the people who didn't know who we were, it's like we got all these kids coming out to these shows, diving, moshing, going crazy. It's like I'm gonna lead into that. We're going high participation sets. We're going like high intensity sets. We're telling people to like dive on each other. You gotta lean either way. You know, you gotta adjust to like what's available to you.
That's amazing. Like, we love talking bands and festivals, especially because it's just such a great vibe and feeling of festivals. Like, I always say it's like a family feel, because people could just walk up to each other and have, like, we've been talking, 5 minutes? And we've been sat here, we've been chatting and having a laugh like we've known each other for ages. You walk to someone in the streets, like, hey, who are you? I don't know, let's have a beer. Like, fuck off, mate, you weirdo.
Yeah,
but here, it's like, come on. Sure. But like here, it's like, let's go, come on, let's go have a beer. As an artist, do you feel that on stage, or you're looking out like, fuck it, these are my people, it's my family out here?
Yeah, especially from my position where it's like, I sing, obviously, the band, and like write all the lyrics, this, that. So for me, it's like, like, those people know what I'm saying, feel something on that, like they're up front, like throwing their bodies around, sing along, whatever. Like, that is like an instant connection by default, because like whatever I said identified as that, and vice versa, and that itself creates a fucking moment of that deal where it's like, you know, like when not to be corny or anything like that, but it's like, you know, we'll get off, we'll finish playing, like people come say what's good, and it's like that's what it is, like come say what's good, like let's talk, like eye level, just like homie stuff, you know. It's like not there's like no weird disconnect between what we're doing and like what they as like a crowd participant are. It's like all the same level. Like I think that persists with like the best culture and stuff too, where it's like people are just hanging out, chopping it off, kicking it, and like whether you're in a band or not, like you're just hanging. You know, that's the vibe.
It's great. I think like someone been talking about this whole weekend as well, is like how important festivals are to people in a mental health sense, because as a podcast, we are associated with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. I don't know if you're familiar with Sophie.
Not familiar, but feel free to.
But basically, Sophie was a young girl in 2007. Her and her boyfriend Rob were walking for a park on the way home from a mate. We were just having a laugh, walking home, and they walked for a park. And 5 young guys, aged between 13 and 16, didn't like the fact they looked and dressed differently. Sophie had red dreads by shoulder length. They wore black jeans and a t-shirt, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And they took an umbrage with that, and they beat the living hell out of them, to the point that Sophie lost her life.
And that's heartbreaking shit.
It's heartbreaking. And after that, Sophie's mom turned around and went, I'm not having this. You know, and her mission, and it still is her mission after her passing now, is to make the alternative subculture strand of hate.
Right.
Because it isn't, and it should be, because at the end of the day, Sophie was attacked and murdered because of the way she looked, the way she dressed. Nothing to do with anything else, that particular reason why. So festivals like this are so important, because people can just let their hair down, they can dress how they want, they can be who they want. They're not constantly looking over their shoulder, they're not having abuse hurled at them in the streets or whatever it is. So I think it's so important, these like festivals and places like this, so people to just relax in court. Is this something you've ever dealt with in your life, being treated differently because the music listed, the way you dress, whatever it might be?
Not as much as, like, there's definitely people in this world that, like, obviously that is so much harder than I or any of his friends or anything like that. You know, like, growing up as a kid, sure, like anybody, like, I like video games and card games, and like, as, like, a teenager and whatnot, like turning music and whatnot. But I'm grateful. I really didn't have to face much adversities at all. Like, but that's because I'm lucky enough to have a really good support system, a really good, great set of friends. Like, we're all into the same stuff. So it's like I didn't have to worry about what anyone else outside of my sphere thought, because I from like elementary to this day, like young age, like came up with like some of my best friends. And like when faced with other adversity in life, because like anybody, there's plenty. Like, there are things that challenge everyone in life, and there are ways I've been challenged greatly, you know, like everyone's. I'm thanks to those people, that's what gets me through, you know. It's like I'm lucky enough to have a support system like that, and whatever it may be, whether music and best culture is a support system, friends, family, like whatever you have in your life that gets you through, like just making good on that, using those options you have, using those people, using those things that are cathartic, whenever they may be, like that's paramount to me, you know. And I'm lucky that I have that.
And I suppose now as an adult, no one would say anything to you because you built like a fucking brick shit house and you destroy them anyways.
Yeah,
Too scared to say anything. I'm looking at like, I'm not saying one bad word to this man.
You never know. Like sound guys like to say bad things. Aside from that, you know.
As if they don't live to tell the tale, but they try and say it.
So this is obviously your last show on the UK tour. Like, how's the tour been?
Amazing. Like totally transparently, like I did not foresee this tour to be as good as it was. I thought it'd be cool. I especially thought the UK shows were first, but most of the tour sold out. Mainland European shows were really great as well. Like Paris, Dortmund, Germany, like Ghent, Belgium. Like there were like shows where I didn't have any really expectations at all, and they blew me away. And having toured Europe in the past with other bands, I did years Road Dogg. Like I have a touring tenure before doing this band where I've seen like the rougher side of all of it. Like, you know, I've had the Euro tours where you're sleeping in squats and, you know, not living all that great. Like, I'm so grateful that these shows have done well. People know the bands, know us and our friends at Flush What's Freaking Out, and like, you know, gave their time and a little bit of their money to just come see us because I had no expectations going in. And I was truly, truly blown away with the reception. So it's incredible, and just has to be psyched for when we come back.
Incredible. Obviously, you've just released the latest single off your upcoming album, Anthem. There you go, I wrote it down. How has the song been received?
Really well. Honestly, I was not, again, like, I guess I have this, like, persisting line of, like, skepticism or, like, maybe even a little bit of pessimism where I'm like, I just don't think people will care for whatever reason. And I didn't necessarily think that about Anthem, but Anthem is on the more high energy side of the record. Like, it's you know, lyrically a little more niche. It's like about my love for like the line we come from and like the way it's impacted my life. Like something I think many people can identify with for all the speaking, like their own music scenes, their own like beautiful relationship with music and whatnot, and like the culture of going to shows and all that. But you know, like it's not a song about a girl breaking your heart, you know. It's a punkier track on the record. It's not this big ballad. So I know it's been a long answer, but I'm surprised at how stoked people are on it, and I'm glad that like the high energy, the punkier, the hardcore components of it are connecting with people, and like that does speak to that. But I guess at this point we've also just been doing it long enough and developed enough of our people and like understand the band, understand the project, where it's like that's part of the deal with Koyo. Like there's this side that is emo ballads and soft tracks and like slow down stuff, and then there's this side that's like hardcore kids writing hardcore songs. It's a little more melodic, you know. So it's cool that both sides, like you're on the list. That first single we put out is more the other side of that spectrum. Anthem is more on the hardcore side, and it's really cool to see both be received so out.
I see it, mate. But these two songs have been released, giving a good vibe of what to expect from the new album when it comes out.
Yes, I would say so. I think we're putting out another song, I believe July 27th. I might have the date wrong. It's sometime this month, in the 20s.
Yeah.
But a song called Message Like a Bomb, and it has Daryl Palumbo from Glassjaw. Oh, nice. Which is fucking sick. I think that's like the final piece. There's one more single to follow it, but in terms of like sonically, I think that's the last piece of the puzzle to get the whole spectrum. When you're on the list, Message Like a Bomb and Anthem, those three like broadly represent the record's pretty well. There's one more song coming before it comes out called Life's a Pill. That's going to be the last single for the record. And I think that also does the record justice in that same way. But I think those three, if you only have those three, you can read the whole vibe of the record out of that.
So the album is coming out in September 29th. See, I did my research right down to it. It's good. How pumped are you to get this out there now, though? How excited are you to get this out there now?
Like, excited is an understatement because our band we haven't been a band all that long. We started writing for this band like fall of 2019, put out our first music in 2020. So like about 3 years of change doing this. And obviously a lot of touring, a lot of music throughout all that time. But this record is how it's slowly written from the very beginning. There's like, you're on the list -1 with written. I think there's that was like before Drives Out East, like our second EP, like very early on, and like we slow cooked and put this record together over like a pretty long span of time. And I think it is some of our, if not our absolute best material for that reason, because there was no rush. There was no one in our ear saying, finish this, pushing, whatever. We got to like situate it over 3 years and put our best material forward. And also just from like my position as like a lyricist and a singer, I guess just like live a lot of life and experience a lot of shit, so that way I could like write about all that shit. It's cool.
Wow.
It's been amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, good luck with the album.
No, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us.
Of course, I appreciate it. Seriously, it's one dub out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
so much. Of course.